I think it's Mark Twain. He is a famous quote of his, which I'm going to butcher right now, but it's something along the lines of the worst things that never happened, the worst things that ever happened to me never happened.
Yeah.
And in the sense that, we are so blessed as human beings to have this giant part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex, which basically just makes us really smart. And it's what separates us from most animals, that we have such a big prefrontal cortex that allows us to have something, amongst other things, called an imagination, where we can start to come up with all sorts of scenarios and all sorts of things that may or may not happen so that we can make the best decision. Now, this is fantastic for creativity. We can write screenplays and movies. We can create amazing art and music and do all these wonderful things. But for many of us, especially in time like right now, what it means is that it's just projecting all the worst case scenarios of all the bad things that could happen because we don't know what's going to happen. And what I try and work with people on the most, especially right now, is, can you become comfortable in being uncomfortable? Or, and to put it another way, can you be uncomfortable in uncertainty or being in the unknown, in knowing and sitting with the fact that we don't know what's going to happen, and then that's okay, and having a level of trust that things will work out for you. And that that takes, perhaps for some people, it's a big step, right? But there are probably little things that you can do in your life just to trust a little bit more. And that's where that youthful play nature comes in, right? You don't really see kids worrying too much about what's going to happen 2 months down the line. They're very much in the moment, enjoying themselves, playing, imagining, just using all their creativity and trying to always have fun. Kids are amazing at how they can kind of create fun out of nothing. I remember when I was young, my brothers were a lot older than me. They were like 11 years older than me. So I kind of spent a lot of time by myself. But I would just go into my imagination and create all sorts of like cool worlds and scenarios and games for myself. And I would act out these worlds, or I would play these games. Or, I used to love playing cricket, and I would have that, I'm not sure. Did you ever play cricket?
In school, but not like, I never really got into it.
Well, I played it in school as well. And, you may have heard of that whole, like, you put like a ball in a sock and then you hang it from like the roof, and then you can hit it with the cricket bat and it just comes straight back at you and you can hit it over again. So I used to play full test matches in my head, playing and just hitting the ball in the sock, So there is, rather than asking yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen for me? Or what is the worst outcome? What is there to be scared of? Maybe see if you can ask yourself a different question, because the answers in your life are only going to be good as the questions that you ask yourself. So if you can start to ask yourself questions like, okay, so I'm in this situation, it's going to be what it's going to be. How can I have fun right now? Or how can I be more present in this moment? How can I make best use of this time? Because the future is going to be whatever it's going to be, and whether I feel stressed or whether I don't doesn't actually make a difference. So what can I do to enjoy this moment, or to make the best out of this moment? And ask yourself that question, and then the brain's going to look for the answers. And if you can sit with yourself for long enough and allow the brain to be creative and do what it's there to do, then you might surprise yourself as to how many answers might come to you.
Yeah, it's funny because even as you're saying that about, now people are having to face up to uncertainty and being comfortable, being uncomfortable. What was going through my mind was like, but life is always uncertain. We never know the outcome. We never know what's going to happen in 5 minutes, let alone in 5 months, 5 years, So this for me is really highlighting to us a way of living that perhaps we should be more comfortable living, because it does bring us into that present moment. It does bring us into becoming more comfortable, being uncertain, being uncomfortable, because that is the nature of life anyway. Like there is nothing set out for you. I mean, you could say, okay, I'm going to meet someone at 6 p.m. tonight. That might be set out for you, but you might not get there. You might get a flat tire on the way. You might, you just, it's all uncertain. So I think experiencing what we're experiencing is helping people in a way, in a weird way, to tap into that, and it's like trying to get comfortable with that, like you said, isn't easy path. It's, you have to kind of, do a lot of kind of work. Some people get it instantaneously, don't get me wrong, but there is a few steps along the way.